please welcome to the stage, Johanna Stein. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, I'm gonna get, what is that? Okay, I'm gonna get a little settled, talk amongst yourselves, or kiss amongst yourselves. What is it, Jake? What is this thing?
It's a light. You need it?
Yeah, I do. Can you make
Bridget,
make
come
it
with
light?
the light. Bridget, show Johanna the light.
Thank you. Yeah, that changed it up. Okay. Here we go. The important thing to know is that we are not sex addicts. We are not cavalier about where or when we engage in sexual congress. We have a door on our bedroom, and we do, on occasion, close it. Because, in the immortal words of Sylvester Stallone in Rocky VI, or Rocky 37, I can't recall, after a couple of decades of marriage, we still have a little something left in the basement. If you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm not implying that we have a sex dungeon in our cellar, just that we still, get it on. And while I won't get into the raw specifics of what was going on behind our slightly ajar door on that particular Friday night, allow me to set the stage. It was around 9 o'clock. Earlier that evening, I'd been reading a bedtime story to our then 4-year-old daughter. I've always loved this ritual, partly because it's a warm, cozy way to bring the day to a close, but even more because it gives me a captive audience who is forced to listen to me as I perform the fuck out of those bedtime stories, doing different voices, making up songs. I don't mean to brag, but if awards were given out for entertaining groggy preschoolers, I would have a wall full. But this level of commitment is exhausting, which is why most nights I would pass out in her bed only to wake around 1 a.m. with the hardcover of Goodnight Moon splayed across my face and a Barbie-shaped kink in my back. Usually I'd stumble out of her room like a sorority girl doing the walk of shame out of a neighboring frat house. But on this particular night, I awoke to my husband giving me a gentle shake-shove. And when I staggered into the bedroom, he gave me a come-hither glance and whispered romantically, "You want to do some sex?" It was no wonder he was turned on. I was wearing my third most flattering yoga pants and a sports bra tank that squashed my breasts into one long sausage-like uni boob. I responded to his offer by purring seductively, "Yeah, right." We commenced our foreplay routine. On that night, we went with 14B. This involved me reaching into my bedside table, which contained a small selection of implements that were given to me as jokey wedding gifts back when we got married around the turn of the century, the 21st century. The rubber on most of the implements had turned to sticky dust, and the big one that worked on D batteries had since corroded. However, there was that weirdly angular device that did still work. And yes, this was one of those occasions that we plugged the thing in. Fast forward maybe 12 minutes. Again, I won't go into too much detail, just to say that my hamstrings were being worked to capacity and I was making use of my balancing skills, while the husband was exercising his neck muscles and the ability to hyperextend both elbows. Also, 3 of our most supportive pillows were in use. Things were progressing fairly well, probably somewhere around a B+ if we were being graded, and we were both poised to complete our tasks when I happened to turn my head and see the child standing at the now open bedroom door. "Mama?" The husband and I froze for a split second before uncoupling with the force of a gas explosion. One moment we were on the bed, and the next we were separated by the length of a football field. He had somersaulted into a pile of laundry, only to emerge fully clothed in a pillowcase a pair of my jeans, and a got milk baseball cap. I just stood there, nude, except for socks. It was November in Chicago, don't judge. Babbling things like, hi, pee-pee, water, glass, mommy's cold, dish towel. All while the non-speaking part of my brain wondered if we had just scarred our child for life. Without warning, the kid laughed, climbed onto our bed, and began jumping. She was very not disturbed by what she had just seen. In her mind, we were in the middle of a party game. And she wanted in on the fun, too. Bounce time! Bouncy time! It took some delicate wrangling. Me saying in every tone imaginable, no. After which I ushered the child back into her own room for the night. The husband and I then crawled back into our bed and went straight to sleep because we were too tired, too disturbed, and frankly, too in denial of our sex organs to even consider resuming our previously scheduled activities. Several nights later, however, after we were mostly healed from the horror, the husband and I endeavored to finish what we had started. This time we closed the door and were taking a straightforward, no acrobatics, surgical approach to the finish line when I heard a slow click. There was the child standing in the doorway, holding an armful of dolls and giggling in a high, creepy voice that in movies usually signals the arrival of the Antichrist. It was even more shocking the second time around. It was as though she had developed a pervy sixth sense that allowed her to materialize like some kind of sex-murdering demon. 3 days later, we installed a lock on the door. It seemed the perfect solution, and it was, in that it kept her out of Eyeball's reach. But it also prompted her to sit outside our door and wail. And just in case you're wondering, it is near impossible to achieve any sense of closure when someone is pounding their tiny fists on the other side of the wall, yelling, "No bounce! No bounce!" Concerned that the husband would suffer from permanent blue ballage, were we to allow this coitus interruptus unfucking believabus to continue, we decided the time had come for a conversation about boundaries. We would keep it simple, we agreed, and unemotional, and we would answer her questions without going into any more detail than necessary. I unlocked the door and picked up the teary-eyed party crasher. I want to bounce on your bed. It's nighttime. Everyone is going to sleep. I carried her into her room and tucked her in. The husband stood at the doorway while I sat on the edge of her bed. When Mommy and Daddy's door is closed, that means they're having special time together. Alone. That's called privacy. But that makes me sad. I know. But part of being a big girl is understanding that sometimes people need their privacy. She nodded and was quiet for a moment. Mama? Why do you put that long thing in your bum? Now it was my turn to be quiet. What? That long thing that fell out at the bank. The husband was staring at me from the doorway, mouthing the words, "What the fuck?" The long thing that fell out of my purse is called a tampon, and I don't put it in my bum. She stared at me, gave her thumb a couple of sucks, and then, Mama? Yes? What's that special hug? Where did you hear that? I no, I just know it. Did Casey tell you that word? Is the long thing for when you're making a special hug? I looked to the husband for moral support. I couldn't make out his face. It was in his hands. All I could see were his shoulders shaking. He was either laughing hysterically or crying uncontrollably, either which would have been understandable, but totally unacceptable in that moment. That's when I had a brainstorm. Songs. She had always responded so well to songs. When washing her hands had caused her to shriek as though they were being dipped in battery acid, I had come up with the "Everybody wash your hands, hands, hands" song. And when potty training was going so slowly it seemed she'd be wearing Cinderella diapers at her wedding, I had improvised the "Let's make a pee-pee on the potty" song. I have an idea. Do you want to learn the privacy song? What's that? Again, I don't mean to brag, but as skilled as I am at bedtime stories, improvising songs for 4-year-olds in the middle of the night, this is where I shine. It's the privacy song, it's the privacy song. Asking for privacy is never wrong, it's the privacy song. We sang it a few times until I was sure that she had it. So, what does it mean when Mommy and Daddy's door is closed? Privacy! That's right. Now, are you ready for bed? She nodded, gave me a sleepy smile, and rolled over. And I was filled with pride as I strutted out of her bedroom, and as I passed the husband, I may have even leaned in for a high five. I did not get the high five return. But the spirit of celebration was with us 20 minutes later when we climbed back into the saddle to close the deal that we had embarked upon those many days ago. We were both rounding the corner to home plate when we heard the unmistakable sound of that doorknob being rattled. We paused and waited for the rattling to stop, which it did, only to be followed by another sound, a tiny voice whispering outside the door. "You're having privacy." And then, as I suppose I really should have predicted, the little demon laid down, pressed her lips up to the crack between the floor and the door, and proceeded to serenade us. "It's the privacy song, it's the privacy song, it's the privacy song." Thank you.